Hi everyone! I am so sorry that I'm a little late with this video. We moved recently and I actually didn't have a table to film on until now, so I had to rush to get this all set up. Anyways, I'm back with my December Plan With Me video, and that means it's been a year since I started bullet journaling. It's honestly so crazy to me that I was able to keep up with journaling and posting videos every month. I started my bullet journal at the beginning of the year thinking that I was going to use it as a creative outlet, and now I feel like I'm part of such a special and nice community. So thank you all so much for watching and for your support and sweet comments, and I hope you all like the last Plan With Me video of 2019. So I was actually pretty stumped for a theme this month. It took me a long time to come up with something that I was happy with. I was really inspired by these super adorable doodles of a little polar bear and penguin playing together by Gaisey. So starting with my cover page, I drew a large snow globe with my polar bear and penguin friends sledding together inside. I threw in some tiny snowflakes and trees in the background so it wouldn't look so plain, and on the base of the snow globe, I just drew little holly berries and leaves. At the bottom of the page, I wrote out December in this pretty cursive font and added a little calendar underneath. And for my markers, I was using about 8 different Tombow dual brush pens. The exact color numbers are always listed down below in the description box in my videos, but I just used a deep rich red, a dark green, a light blue, an orange, a pink, a warm toned brown, a golden yellow, and a dark charcoal, almost black color. So starting with the red, I filled in the penguin Santa hat, as well as the holly berries on the snow globe. I used the green for the leaves, and then the orange is used for the penguin's beak and feet, while the pink is used for the polar bear's mouth. I used the brown and gold for their sled and the snow globe, and I thought this page still needed a bit more color, so I added the light blue around the snow to give a little shading effect, and I highlighted December and the top of the calendar. Even though the color is so light, I think it still adds a subtle pop, which really brings the page together. Moving on to the calendar page, I used the light blue and wrote out December on the left side of the page. Then I just went in with these 6x6 boxes, but at the top I drew this little snow cap where I'll write out the days of the week. And usually I put my monthly to-do lists off to the side, but this month I decided to try it at the bottom since I knew I wouldn't need as much room as usual since December is always a slow and more relaxed month for me. To include my polar bear and penguin, I doodled them at the top having a fun little snowball fight. So I drew a pile of snowballs behind them and a little snow wall in front. I love how these little guys turned out, they're just too cute. I realized there wasn't enough pops of color on the spread, so I wrote out the numbers inside the calendar with the light blue marker, as well as lined the to-do section. I still thought there was a lot of empty space, so I just added in these small snowflake circles all around the page. This month had a lot of improvisation, and not everything turned out exactly how I wanted it to. I had to remind myself that sometimes I will get stuck in a creative rut and I won't be 100% satisfied with every month, and that's totally okay and it's to be expected. I just need to look past the little mistakes and be happy with what I was able to create. And now for the mood tracker. I feel like this Christmas tree tracker has been done so many times before, but I thought it fit well with this doodle of my penguin and polar bear decorating little Christmas trees together. So I started with a star at the top with 31 ornaments scattered throughout the tree shape. At the bottom, I drew 3 more smaller decorated Christmas trees, with them adding the star to the top of one. I used the green marker and filled in the tree shapes first before adding in little pine needle lines coming out of the sides. I made sure to go over the middle of the tree with the same dash strokes in the same direction as the pine needles so it would all look blended together. I used the brown for the tree trunks, the gold for the stars and the tree streamers, and I also added a little bit of blue to the snow. After I was done with the spread, I realized that I totally forgot to include the colors for my moods, so I quickly just doodled some little ornaments at the bottom with red representing my happy days, gold for my okay days, and blue for my sad days. For my habit tracker, I wanted to keep this side really simple since the left side is so doodle heavy, so I just went with this horizontal format for my 8 habits. They're 16 by 2 rectangle shapes, and I just shaded out the last box since there's only 31 days in the month. I wanted a subtle pop of color, so I used the light blue marker and highlighted my habits as well as the text at the bottom. And I also threw in some snowflakes here and there. I just doodled them really quickly so they're a bit messy, but they're really easy to do. I just made an X shape with one extra line going down the middle for the body of the snowflakes, and then I alternated between using little dots or little V shapes on the end of each of those lines. So I wanted to include a few Christmassy spreads, especially since this is my first bullet journal and I'm still trying to figure out what kind of spreads that I find useful. So I added a few before my weekly spreads, but you can totally skip these if you don't want anything that's like super holiday themed. So this first one I wanted to try was a Christmas countdown tracker. I just drew a squiggly line going down the page, and I made 25 little carrot-like shapes that are supposed to be Christmas lights. So every day that passes, I plan on coloring in a light bulb with a different color until it's Christmas Day. At the bottom, I drew the penguin and polar bear getting all tangled up in the Christmas lights. This little doodle idea was basically the only reason why I wanted to include this countdown tracker, and I'm so glad that I went with it because they honestly turned out super cute. Next, I thought a cards to send out page would be useful for me and my job. I want to make sure that I send out Christmas cards to all of my clients, so I thought this would help me keep track of everyone's names and addresses. You can use this for your friends and family if you like sending out Christmas cards to all these special people in your life. The last holiday-oriented spread that I wanted to try was this Christmas present list page, which was inspired by Kate Hadfield. So I drew a bunch of big present boxes with different shaped bows on top, and I listed all the people who I need to get gifts for on the little tag attached to each bow. I'm a super visual person, so every year I like to make a list of all the different gift ideas I have for people, which stores I can get them at, and all the prices, just so I can make sure I'm not going too overboard with spending, especially since I have 2 nephews and I just love to spoil them. So this list helps keep me in check. In the bottom right corner, I also included the polar bear and penguin exchanging gifts. And so now finally onto my first weekly spread. Since I had to include 8 days on this page, I made these 8 by 10 rectangles with 2 squares in between each row. I wanted to make the lines look like Christmas lights, so I made sure they looked all squiggly with little loops here and there. At the top of each box, I drew a big circle where I wrote out the dates inside. The light bulbs are just the same little carrot shapes I used for the countdown tracker, and you want to make sure you space them out because I found that if you made them too clustered together and there were too many lights, it just ended up looking really messy. I took all of the colorful markers I used this month and I just alternated them all throughout the lights. Even though I wanted this to look really Christmassy, I feel like this ended up having more of a Stranger Themes vibe, and I'm not mad at it. I don't know if it's just me. Let me know what you guys think. I guess if I ever do a Stranger Things theme month for like October in the future, then I can totally reuse this spread. This next week is super simple. I feel like since this month had a lot of doodling in the beginning, I ended up making my weeklies more toned down. So I just used the light blue marker and made these little paint-like strokes down the page, and I wrote out the dates on top of them. At first I was going to use my Tombow hard tip brush pen and use calligraphy, but after I made that M, I suddenly changed my mind and just wrote them out in a regular cursive font, which is why some of them look a little wonky. I added some little snowflakes around each day, and using the same Tombow brush pen, I drew in these little polar bear and penguin footprints to make it look like they were traveling through the snow together. This week also took me like less than 5 minutes to do. I made these little green circular wreaths around the page, and inside I wrote out the dates with a red marker. Underneath the wreaths, I wrote out the days of the week with my Micron pen, and I made sure to include a note section at the bottom of the page. To be honest, I'm not super pleased with how this next weekly spread turned out, mainly with the colors, but I just had to let it go and work with what I've got. So I started by drawing presents on the left side and a little pile in the bottom right corner. Using my Tombow brush pen, I wrote out the days next to each box as well as the note section on the right side. Then I colored in the presents with all of the markers, and I think I should have only used a few colors instead of trying to use so many different ones. I didn't like how bright the orange and the pink turned out, and the red and dark green colors showed through the white pen I wanted to use on top, which was a bummer. You can see after I used the Tombow brush pen to color in these large black circles on top, my POSCA white pen wasn't as white on top of the red and green compared to the other colors. Hopefully I can remember this in the future so I don't make the same mistake. I striped the notes section with red and green. Again, don't really love how this turned out, but it's okay. I just need to remember that I shouldn't be too hard on myself. And now finally onto my last weekly spread. I only had 2 days left, so I just drew these 2 big Christmas ornaments hanging from a string that spills out Monday and Tuesday. At the bottom, I included a notes section with these smaller ornaments hanging off the sides, and I colored them in with the red and green markers. Inside the ornaments, I wrote 30 and 31, and I used the POSCA white pen to make these little light reflection lines on the left side of all the ornaments. The color did bleed through again, but it looked a little better after I layered the white on a couple of times. And that wraps up my December Plan With Me. Even though this will be the last Plan With Me video of the year, I still plan on posting a few more videos before 2020. I want to try and do a 2019 bullet journal flip through video, so let me know down below if you are interested in seeing that. Other than that, you can look forward to my 2020 setup and January Plan With Me. Here is an awesome recreation of my November coffee theme by emmalou.loves on Instagram. When I saw these, I was so blown away. I absolutely love how these turned out. So if you want to recreate any of this month's spreads, please tag me on Instagram at AFZXX3 to be featured in my videos. I can't wait to see them. They always make me feel so happy. And I will see you all next time. Bye!